Thanks for trying. We got close, but not quite fully there.
Yeah, for next time we're definitely getting there. I mean, I will sort the camera problem out, and
Okay.
yeah, it's gonna be
So,
better, I'm sure.
so I've had, you know how every chess player has ups and downs, right? For me, the past 2 weeks I think I'm. This is safe to say. I think the past 2 weeks have been the worst. Let me just turn off my fan. The worst chess results I've ever had in my life. Uh, I can't win a game. I can't win a game.
I saw, yeah.
Oh, you what? You saw the video?
No, I didn't see
Oh,
the video, but I went through your
oh
game, so I
yeah.
kind of figured.
I know. I started to almost get paranoid that I got like shadow banned and they put me in a pool of cheaters, whereas because I win like 18 games with no win in a row. I had like one draw, I think, and I even tried different time controls, still losing, and I dropped between all the time controls. I've dropped 220 points, which is amazing because even like a week ago, I was pretty easily beating 2200, 2300. They don't seem too strong. And now I'm losing to like 1900 and it's astonishing. It's rough.
Yeah, it's a rough patch, but it's gonna pass. I noticed that online this happens a lot. I mean, it can happen over the board, but since I don't know, the events are um, more separated in time, one from the other, it's just harder to get these losing streaks. On the internet, you can just keep playing and playing and completely ruin your rating for some time. Uh, I mean, I've experienced. I think everyone experiences it at some point, and then you just go back to normal. So it's nothing to worry about. I mean, now it's more about analyzing what happened. And trying to see what's not working. Um, I mean, what I saw from all these games is that um, you're getting great positions out of the opening still. uh, you're doing well in the opening in general, and then in some of them you had blunders, like one or two more blunders.
Yeah,
Then
just
in some of them you just went astray completely, and those are the ones in which we're going to focus today.
if there I think there was one kind of recurring theme throughout the games is I noticed I often have like even a crushing position out like even through the middle game and then I just lose and I think part of it is I let myself get pretty low on the clock especially with no increment and then I'm just kind of I hopeless so I don't know if maybe time management has something to do with it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there were games where you were well down to minute and a half or so, and your position was okay, maybe even better sometimes. But yeah, with a minute and a half, uh, well, blunders started happening. um, but yeah, I mean, in many of these, you have bad blunders in completely winning positions. I mean, positions where you a piece up or a couple of pounds up and with a clear position advantage. I mean, positions that you would normally win, especially against these opponents. You normally win these games. Um,
Yeah, they
but
weren't mysterious, right? It was just like a one move, like dropping a rook, or or a
yeah,
pawn. Yeah.
and that has to do more with um, well, in which shape you are. Sometimes there are in this losing streak you're just in bad shape for some reason. It doesn't even mean that you're not studying, you're not putting in the work. Sometimes it just happens. And you're in bad shape for no reason whatsoever. It can easily happen. Um, well, we're not going to focus on those one more blunders. It's just something to take care of course. I mean, more concentration for blunders is just something you have to work out during the games, especially now that you see it's happening with some frequency. Um, but in these three games I put here, uh, you missed the plan basically. In some of them, it didn't. In one of them, at least, it didn't seem like you really had a plan, and in two of them, you chose a very questionable one, I think. So okay, let's go to the actual games. This was let me see. Okay, this is the London.
This was
And
probably
you
a while ago. I don't think I played a London
um,
recently.
well, they're all from. I mean, 6 days ago
Yeah.
to now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah. For me, I've
uh,
been playing a lot, so 6 days ago is a
yeah,
long time for
a
me now.
lot.
Yeah.
True, you had a lot of games during this period. It's true.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot more.
That doesn't help because when you're in a bad losing streak, we all tend to do this. We tend to keep playing, and we even play more than usual.
Yeah, gotta make back those points. Yeah.
Yeah, tends not to work really. So bishop b7, knight f3, and you played your line with knight h5. Um, you've been quite successful with this line, I think.
Yeah, it's the computer line. Very completely computer generated.
It's very interesting though. And once he castles, you take.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is fine, and you got a perfectly fine position.
Oh, I remember this. I was experimenting a little bit. I mean, I think I played h5. This went bad quickly. So I was debating if I should have fianchettoed my king first, or if I could play h5 g5, because there are some lines that I have pre-made where you castle and then you play. I used to think you castle first and then you play g5 h5, but I couldn't quite remember if it worked here. But I remember when analyzing it afterwards, the route I should have taken was indeed just my typical fianchetto of the king. So king f8, which I love to play because my opponents probably think I mouse slip, right? With the castling. And it's kind of a little bit of a shock factor. And then g6, king g7, and then like h5, rook h8, and then h4 ideas.
Well, that's the thing. If you choose that path and you play king f8, king g7, you already have the rook on h8. And it makes more sense to put to push your kingside pawns in that situation. It's still something to be careful about, of course. It's not something you do in any position because it still opens your king a lot. But it makes more sense when you're kind of playing with the king in the center for some time. I don't know here. I mean, you've castled, so I wouldn't push h5 and g5. I mean, I don't hate h5 in itself. I mean, I don't think it's even a bad move. But what was your plan? I mean, what were you trying to achieve with it?
Well, just to rip open his king side there. So again, I wish I could remember the exact line where the computer likes either g5 or h5, and I might be remembering it incorrectly, but I seem to think it is after I castle, which seems weird for the reasons you mentioned. Normally you want the rook on h8. I'll try to find the line and send it to you if I can find that line. I think the idea of the line I'm thinking of is the computer wants to hold back white's g pawn and then play h and then run the h pawn. So I think it wants to play like essentially g4 for black and then h4. Yeah. Wow. So I think I kind of mixed up those two plans here. But in both plans, the idea is to just attack the king side. So yeah, when I played h5, I was just thinking to play h4, but I guess that could just get blockaded with g4 here.
Yeah, I would like to see that line to see
Yeah,
why.
I'll make a
I
note.
mean, what's different?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a note of that because I need to clarify that for myself as well.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very possible. I mean, I can't figure out how you would attack successfully on the king side right now. I mean, it's kind of an exotic plan, h5, and then you play the h4 kind of immediately, which results in a trade. I mean, it's not bad, but I don't know what you're actually achieving. Other than that, didn't you consider more normal approaches here?
Yeah, I could have played my usual like. Well, for one thing, I'm not so used to actually castling. So, I guess I could have c5. I could have gone maybe c5. I might have had that in an earlier game in the London, and then I think I gave up a bit of an advantage because there was d5, and then it didn't really like my light squared bishop, like c5, d5, e5. It was equal, but I had a better way to play apparently. But
Well, you can play it. I mean, you're trying to make your dark square bishop look better. I mean, c5 makes a lot of sense. It's a move that you would expect. I mean, you have a slightly more restricted position, but you have the pair of bishops, so that kind of cancels out. It's just a feature of this position. I mean, you accept a more restricted position because you got his dark square bishop with the maneuver knight h5 and knight takes g3. So it's fine if white grabs some space. You're going to fight to make your bishops look better. And it's true, he has d5. I don't know if it's all that important. You're going to take. I think you can fight for d5 quickly. C takes d is, well, normal. But there's also knight takes d5, but you have knight f6, and I think you're fighting effectively for d5. He can't really keep a piece here. You're just going to make him take with the pawn. He can get the pair of bishops, but in that case, you're just about ready to play d5 yourself, and you're probably even a bit better. I mean, you've solved all your issues with space. And if he takes with a c pawn, this resembles a certain defense. Which one do you think it is?
I don't think it's something I play. Is it?
Yeah, no, probably not.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I might
no,
not know it
it's
because I don't know
yeah,
anything
it's
about what I
close
don't
to a
play.
Benoni.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Benoni.
Yeah, this is close to a Benoni and quite a good one because you do have the dark square bishop and your opponent doesn't. So I think this should be pretty harmless. I mean, I don't think white can have a great advantage here. Um, Normally, I mean, as white has more space, you kind of welcome these exchanges. Your bishop, I know it's for time being, it's just not on the best spot, but you can go back to c8 at some point, so it's not the end of the world. And meanwhile, d5 is more or less soft if he doesn't play e4. And playing e4 just enhances your bishop. So, well, for him not having that square bishop, I think this is not such a great approach. I mean, I'm not even sure he should push d5 here. It's just another pawn on a light square, and well, he doesn't have this bishop, which is going to be great on this diagonal. Yeah, c5 looks like a clear plan. I mean, you're already putting pressure on his center, trying to take a piece of that center, which makes sense. And if he does nothing, you might play knight f6 and d5 yourself. Who knows? Or c takes d, followed by knight f6. There are many ways to follow this up. Also, your usual plan of bishop f6 and then put it on g7 after g6. But I mean, this is a position where you can do a lot of stuff, and you have to choose a path. It's well worth to compare. An H5, I don't see it, I just don't see it as clearly. For example, he played knight d2, and what's his plan after knight d2? What's the reason for that move?
Well, there's an immediate attack on h5. I don't know if that was his only
Yeah, but
idea. Well, he also
as
supports e4 again, so he can play e4.
well, he showed that he had a different idea, and I think it's the right one, because every
Or
time
bishop
he puts a
f3,
pawn
I
on the
guess,
light,
too.
yeah, every time he puts the pawn on the light square, he hurts his own bishop, and he makes your bishop look better. I mean, after e4, it's easier to put pressure on e4 by means of c5 or bishop f6. And I think he played well here. H4, pawn takes, bishop takes, and he's trying to get your light square bishop. That means you'll lose your bishop pair.
I know, when I saw this, I was kind of surprised that I couldn't do anything. I'm like, wait, well, that shouldn't work. Like, well, why is it so effective? But yeah, I was a little surprised that it's so simple and it works.
But he was consistent. I mean, he clearly had a plan. He wanted to get one of your bishops. He succeeded with the light square bishop more or less. But you played c6 for time being. His not exchanging, but he forced this from you. And I'm not sure about his next move. He played e4. Doesn't feel right. Again, same problem. He's just locking in his own bishop. And now, how do you think you should have played?
I mean, I could continue to lock out his bishop, but I didn't like what it did to my bishop, so I could have played e5 but I considered it, but I just thought his bishop was still, I felt his bishop was still better than mine.
Well, you played e5 actually.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
c5.
c5 is slightly better. Yeah, because this bishop might go back to f6, and you're also fighting for e5. I mean, you're trying to make him lose control of the dark squares, and I think you will succeed. I mean, he has nothing on dark squares anymore, and he doesn't have this bishop. You do. I mean, d5, yeah, it's true that he wins some space there, but I mean, you already exchanged one pair of pieces. I'm not even sure if I'll take here, but for argument's sake, let's say you take. And, well, there's a choice here. Pawn C or E takes d5. Both look just fine, but I don't know. I think you're doing well here. It doesn't look like a terrible position to me. You're a bit cramped, but you do have this great bishop, and there's only one open file, so I guess some exchanges are going to happen here. You have good squares for your pieces. I mean, I wouldn't mind playing this, and I'm not even sure I would be taking on this right now. But I don't know. You might go back to f6, which also looks fine. Not giving this knight any prospects for the time being also looks. I mean, the space advantage has to do with the effectiveness of the pieces and if they have good squares or not. And I think in general your pieces are well placed. Yeah, you do have to find something for this bishop to do. But his pieces are more or less in the same situation. I mean, this knight is not looking great at the moment. His bishop is also quite bad. And you do have a couple of minor pieces that are working really well. E5 is still okay, and after d5, well, he's closing this again. You kind of own the dark squares, which is good. His bishop is bad. I don't know if you remember what you played here, but I'm very intrigued by
I think I
your next
played.
move.
I think I played c5. I think I was content to close the center, and then my plan was to kind of, well, I don't know if it's the bird, it might be the bird variation I'm thinking of, or Stonewall. But there's some positions like this where, whoops, sorry, I'm in my streaming software. I was trying to right click on the board. I can't do that. I can't do that. Yeah, but where basically you just simply reroute the bishop to c8. Here, I guess it's difficult though because we actually can't move the bishop anywhere. I guess we could go bishop d7. We could hope for bishop d7, but I think I'm pretty sure I played c5 here, and then I thought I would just play on the king side. So maybe bishop c8, f5, knight f6, something like that.
Well, some preparation would have come in handy for f5, but you played f5 immediately.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, this is the losing move. F5 just loses. Why do you think his position is so wrong? I don't know what the idea was other than some blurry tactics on f2.
I don't know. I think I just felt that
Yeah,
maybe I could
probably,
play knight f, like I didn't have like an exact move sequence planned, but I think I just thought maybe f5 and then knight f6, and then I have that diagonal open for my bishop. That might have been what I was thinking. But yeah, it might have been
probably is that he played well.
He gets the
now
e4 square.
Yeah, and his bishop is a monster now. All of a sudden, your light squares are, well, completely unprotected, really. He gets e4, this bishop becomes great bishop all of a sudden. I mean, it was a terrible piece, and now it's great. And your king is also a bit open. D5 is definitely going to be his after this. He has many pieces on it directly. So this might as well be losing for you. I mean, you had some tactics connected to bishop takes f2. I mean, if d takes c, maybe you have bishop takes c still because of this. It's not even necessary for white. I think he played quite well. Well, in this case, you blundered the rook in one move here. So yeah, that's how the game ended.
Yeah, that's weird. Well, some of the games like sometimes when I'm losing, I'll just out of frustration, just make a couple, quick moves out of frustration. I probably that was what a6 was. I think. So here I might have been a little bit tilted that I was losing games recently, although I'm not 100% sure if that's true because it seems a little bit too early to give up here.
Yeah, no, he still has to prove that he actually has something. I mean, I don't know. The position is not pleasant or anything like it, not even close. But I don't know. You can go back to fade and keep playing.
I don't remember a6.
Takes, you take your you take your chances here. If I mean, it's not comfortable, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, a6. Yeah, it's just
that's funny. I don't remember a6 here. Yeah.
Well, the game continued for some moves, but
was I just throwing pieces?
I think.
Yeah, I must have been. Yeah, I must have been. If the game just kept going on, I probably just.
Yeah, you dropped this other one and then this one.
Oh yeah. I was just tilt mode, I think, unless I took the knight. But no.
Yeah, you didn't even pick.
No, okay, no, yeah, this was just.
Nice.
Sometimes I just play a few moves out of frustration, and so I don't, throw my mouse or keyboard. That's my way of burning off steam. Yeah.
It's better than throwing the keyboard for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you see, it was just, I mean, on move 11, you were completely fine. H5 is not bad in itself. The problem is that the plan behind it is not clear. And your opponent had decided on a path already. He was going to try to exchange the light square bishop. I don't think he did perfectly, not even close, because when he plays e4, uh, he's kind of denying himself of what his plan was all about. He's giving you easy play on the dark squares. So I don't think that was the wisest choice. But then, yeah, after e5, d5, yeah, with f5, again you give him the light squares and you make all his pieces look. Um, but yeah, it was a case of losing the plot in just a couple of moves. Um, the problem with, yeah, I mean, you're going to find that sometimes the engine suggests interesting plans which are a bit complicated to follow. Those h5 and g5s, they can work in certain situations, but uh, for human standards, I wish to have more flexibility with my king, for example, and still have the rook on h8 before I even think about pushing h5 and g5 in a situation like this, especially since you have so many good options. I mean, out of the opening, right before you play h5, this position is it's perfectly okay. I mean, white did no damage. He actually played quite conservatively, I would say. um, you used his bishop. He just castled, so you were able to take on g3 quickly. You didn't even need to play g3, g6 yourself. So your king is perfectly safe. You're just a bit more restricted, but you have the bishop pair to show for it. So um, rook e1 is kind of a mysterious move also to me. Uh, um,
Yeah, I when I face against d4, I actually very much welcome the London because I get to play my usual setup, and so I'm quite comfortable with it. This one was a little bit different because, well, first of all, the c4 variation is a lot less frequent, and there's some subtleties to it because the knight goes to c3. So the main difference, in my opinion, is the d5 square. White has much more control over the d5 square. So there's some differences in the c4 plan, but then also I ended up castling, which is a bit less frequent for me in the London. So those two things combined might have put me a little bit off kilter here.
yeah, um, yeah, it's not how you usually handle it. Though when you get something slightly different, you have to assess if the differences are in your favor or they are hurting you in a way. I think this in general works in your favor. I mean, the fact that white castles so early that you could just take on g3 without rook being on h1 anymore, well, it just allows you to castle, and you don't even have the holes around your king that that you usually get in these positions when you play g6.
Yeah, he
So
also
this is
played bishop
extremely,
e2 instead of bishop d3, which is a difference as well.
yeah. And I mean, white setup has been quite passive.
Mm-hmm.
He put no pressure on you, so you kind of earn the right to make normal moves and get a good position. um, So yeah, these differences, I mean, you can exploit them to your favor. You don't have to do anything fancy in this position uh, to get a good game anymore. Um, Let me check. I think this is. Oh yeah, this
Oh,
is a
this.
knight of. No, it wasn't a proper knight of. It was.
Oh, this was provisional
Yeah, I
account,
think.
I think.
Yes. He was 2142, but it was a provisional account.
Yeah, I
I'm
played a
sorry, I
lot
don't know
of
why
new.
the most.
Yeah, I played a lot of newer accounts, which I always hate. But
Yeah, you don't know what you're being faced against.
yeah, well, yeah, well, yeah, because I
Um,
mean, they could be legit, but sometimes they just are trying to smurf, right? They want easy wins. They might be 2400 and they just want an easy win. It's frustrating. Yeah. I don't mind playing a 2400, but play me as an actual 2400. So if I win or draw, I get the points out of it. Yeah.
You know what you're facing against, which is important.
Yeah.
This is an indication, though. This is not a strong player move.
It's so freaking popular, though. Even at tournament level, people love this. Even players rated higher, like 2200, 2300, they still play this for some reason. And actually, I often don't get the best position out of it. I mean, I guess I can't hope for more than equality, but in some ways you feel like, how dare they play bishop c4, and that you feel like you should get more than equality.
Yeah, good thing is that, I mean, he's playing white. Probably he can get a half decent position even here. But he's limiting himself a lot. I mean, it's really committal to play bishop c4. You're just not going to be able to get a regular Sicilian where you get an actual attack. I mean, this is very much welcome when you're playing with black in a Sicilian. You're basically safe. You play knight f6, knight c3, e6. And well, he's morphing this into, I don't know, some kind
Sozin.
of saucing.
Yeah, Fisher Sozin. Yeah.
C takes d, knight takes d, a6, and bishop b3. Knight b d7. I like this more. I like it better than b5.
I like it because I like it too because if players aren't super onto their theory, they might think, bishop takes e6 here, which is actually good for black. So I tempt them with knight bd7, and often players will think here for a little bit. They're like, I wonder, can I go bishop e6? Most people don't do it. It's very rare for people to do it, but it makes them think a little bit. So I throw that in there. Yeah.
They consider it.
Yeah.
And what do you think about f3?
Well, maybe slightly unnecessary, but he's scared of b5, b4, knight e4. It's a pretty typical setup, though. Now or later, it's pretty standard, I think.
Yeah, problem is this. I mean, if you're going to play the saucing, you gotta go f4. It's just too passive. I mean, you can only be fine or more than fine here. I mean, what's the point of the bishop on c4 and b3 if you're not going to play f4, f5, which is the actual plan for the saucing? I don't know what. I mean, it's just too passive. f3 makes sense in the context that you play g4, but this would be a very atypical English attack with the bishop on b3. Doesn't make much sense to me. And you punish it fairly well. I mean, knight c5, bishop e3. Now you're sure you get rid of that bishop the moment you read it. And now he's playing as if it was
an English.
Just an English
it's
attack.
An English Sozin hybrid.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like it should be good for him. And he castle queenside. Yeah, he meets the two systems. Queen c7 and g4.
I think, if I remember correctly, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if it was this game, but I'm wondering if queen c7 was not optimal. It might have been a different game.
I don't know if it's the best move or not, but
it was fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's in accordance to your general plan. I mean, now what do you think you should be doing? He played king b1, and now it's a good moment to start thinking what your next step is, because you have to play on the queen side clearly, but How?
First of all, I'm trying to remember what I did. I might have played bishop b7. That's probably what I did. As for
On the next move you do.
yeah. You mean like yeah, right? So that's what I played bishop b7.
Yeah, not immediately.
Oh,
First you play rook
okay.
d8.
Okay. Okay.
Which I'm having some trouble figuring out.
Oh, really? I just I kind of wanted to over defend d6. Sometimes if I'm not careful, I don't know. And I thought eventually the rook has to go to the d file anyways. So I even looking at it now, it doesn't seem unreasonable. Rook d8, it seems perfectly natural to me.
The problem is this is Sicilian. And in the Sicilian you have to be very concrete. I mean, rook d8, rook c8, they're moves that they might be more or less okay in less sharp situations.
Time is of the essence here.
Yeah, you have to be decisive. You have to go for your goal here, which is attacking on the queen side. Because white is going to do the same on the king side, h4, h5, g5.
Sometimes in these positions there are some tactics with e4, because there's bishop b7, and I wish I could draw on the screen, but no, it's okay. But even here, I wonder. I'm trying to remember if there was a tactic. Because I just keep looking at e4. There might not be, like, I was just thinking of something along the lines of b4, knight goes somewhere, and then knight takes g4, but it doesn't. No, it doesn't quite work.
That's
so,
to me now.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking of a different position. Okay, so you asked me originally what should my plan be here? Well, yeah, as you said, I need to be attacking and expanding, continuing to expand on the queen side. How I do that exactly, nobody knows.
What's interesting is you have an additional target. Normally you wouldn't have target as a bishop on b3, which is so badly misplaced. We're going to see what you could have done. The issue I have with rook d8, you mentioned this about overprotecting the pawn. The thing is, I can't think of a way in which white is gonna be able to put pressure on it. And that's the thing with the d6 pawn in the Sicilian. The bishop on e7 is bad, but it defends a good pawn. That's how Mikhail Suva used to talk about the bishop on e7. It's a bad bishop that defends a good pawn, and it kind of is. I mean, the pawn is very solid. It's really hard for white to actually put pressure on it. I mean, sometimes we hear about the kind of backward pawn on these seats in the Sicilian, but it's almost never possible to actually attack it, and especially not with this piece setup that white chose. I mean, it's been kind of weird in his moves. He's been a bit passive, and then he mixed up two systems. He lost a lot of time because of that. And rook d8 isn't meeting any demand of the position. That's what's interesting. The plan that you choose has to be clear, and it has to have a goal. Rook d8 is just a move that doesn't look terrible, but it's also doing nothing for your position. You're not going to push d5 immediately.
It's a lazy move.
At least, yeah, that's a good definition. I think it's kind of lazy. And do you think the bishop belongs on b7?
I certainly think it's fine there. Yes. I know often I don't know if it's Sicilians exactly, but More recently, I've also been opening myself to becoming more welcome to putting it on d7. I used to never do that, but there's plenty of situations where it's happy on d7. No, yeah. So in short, I think yeah, b7 seems perfectly fine to me.
Yeah, this is a situation where, I mean, if you're going to push these pawns, d7 looks quite good, and this is the reason. For example, you can play b4 right now. The thing is, the minute he plays knight a4, you want to have access to d7 to just annoy that knight. um, with the bishop on b7, you're not achieving that. I mean, the bishop fulfills a different role on b7 and on d7. On b7, it's all about the pressure on e4, which you're probably not getting here. I mean, it's common in the English attack and in this structure in general, since e4 is so well defended. Um, well, if you have the chance to put the bishop on d7 and help the a pawn advance, then sometimes you want it here. Um, or for that matter, on c8 for the time being until you decide on what you're going to do. But on b7, it's kind of just crashing into this. d5 is really hard to arrange when white has g5 at his disposal. That's why I'm not so much into rook d8 either. But yeah, b4 looks interesting at least. If he doesn't play knight a4, he goes back, then you're just free to start pushing, I think. Well, I'm not sure. There's knight b5 to calculate, but I don't know, queen c6, and if knight takes d, there's a4. It's
So
sort of a mess. I don't know if it's even necessary. You can even play this.
so you like b4 before bishop d7.
I don't really know. I think you have to choose between those two. At least it's what makes sense. b4, I don't know, it's really dynamical. You do have to calculate some stuff involving him taking your pawn on b4, which looks really dangerous for him, honestly. But I don't know, it has to be taken into account. Yeah, you might also look into the direct bishop d7, which I'm not that sure of because of g5. And in this case, you have to go to h5. So maybe b4 is more accurate, at least if white is just not able to take on b4 with the queen, which looks really dangerous. And I mean, I would love to play bishop d7 once the white knight is on a4, so as to force him to take and allowing the takes followed by c4. Well, it's a Sicilian, it's complicated, but it's way more to the point. I mean, with rook d8, I feel like you're kind of losing the thread again here, and it's more or less what happened. He kept playing, well, normal moves, and now bishop b7. And the problem is that when you play b4, he's going to play knight a4, and he will just block the queen side, which is not a good result for you. You would love to be able to push the a pawn too. That's why I still think b4 should be the move. In this case, I think bishop b7 is not really helping you. Maybe you were inclined to play d5 here. Is that possible?
I don't think I had an exact specific plan. I thought there might be potentially some tactics that could open up. I was still just kind of eyeing ideas of just like the whole g4, f3, e4 setup. My knights are attacking two of them. My bishop is on that long diagonal. I kept thinking there might potentially be a tactic there. Sometimes there is, and I always miss it. So I was kind of looking for something there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult here. It happens a lot in Dragon with the bishop on g7. That there are
Yeah,
bishop
similar.
takes
Yeah.
g4 followed by
Yeah.
yeah.
And I fall for that as white too.
Without that bishop, without that bishop, it's gonna be harder to make it work. Though it happens sometimes. I've seen it happen. Sometimes it has to do with the fact that this rook is hanging, bishop is still on f1, which is not the case because he played a weird saucing and the bishop is not there anymore. So he pushed h5. Interesting. He doesn't want you to block with knight h5. I mean, he's playing, during these moves, he's been playing really clearly. After b4, though, he should probably just block the queenside with knight a4. He went back to e2. And now you get to push with a5 also. There's also d5 to consider, though it's a mess. So a5.
Then I just drop it. Oh no, no. Oh yeah, and then I play queen. I think I play queen b6.
Yeah, he plays a very bad move. This makes no sense if he's getting nothing out of it, and apparently he's. I know g5. I mean, he was playing for this. He's also deviating from his own plan, and it's gonna hurt him badly. I mean, here I don't know. I don't know if you can go back because of g6 or if you have to. Oh, there's a. I don't know if this was the line from the analysis, because I think this was computer analyzed. So this intermediate move is suggested. I don't know. Then you go back, but it looks like he's getting there first, in a way. I mean, this is going to be a tough defense for you. And it makes sense because you lost some time. The rook on d8 wasn't necessary. Bishop b7 is
here. I might even. I mean, it's tempting to go knight. Oh, sorry. Is this the position? Oh yeah. So what happened? Oh no. In that other line though, that you were just looking at, can you go up one move?
You mean g5?
Yeah. I'm wondering about knight f takes e4.
And going for it.
Yeah, and then knight takes
queen e1. Yeah, I don't think you have enough.
a4.
It's a4. There's knight takes e6 or bishop takes e6. Which one of the two?
Ooh, but can I go a takes b3? Because there's a fork.
If knight takes e6, b takes.
Oh, I thought I was thinking. I was thinking king h1 after check, but he can go king c1. I was thinking king a1. I was going to fork him. I was going to go knight takes c2.
How? If knight takes e6?
Yeah, then a takes b3.
Knight takes e7.
And then I was going to go b takes a2, and then knight. Oh, sorry. I thought. See, this is why I'm losing on my game. I thought the knight can take on c2. I got excited.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that's a mate if I could do that. Okay, unfortunately.
Which will be check. Yeah, it will be check.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, but now you're down a queen. I don't know if you can play this. Even bishop takes e6. Looks fine. For
him. Yeah. Well, it's close though. I mean, it's almost.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
As usual. But this is just a Sicilian. He can't keep losing time, and you gotta do this. I mean, he chose not to block the queenside, which would have bought time for him, and it was probably best. So now he has to own up to it and play decisive moves, not knight b5. I mean, queen b6, and oops, gotta go back.
I gotta. I mean. I think you're a little harsh on him with the knight b5, because I think if it was me, I could totally see myself playing knight b5. It's so natural because, I mean, even at first glance, it feels like white is just winning the d6 pawn. I know it isn't, but then white...
Really? I mean, you have...
Yeah, I know, but then black, to defend, black walks into this this possible fork or a discovery. So, I mean... I can see the temptation, at least, for knight b5. It's very, very alluring.
It's still a one-move threat. I mean, at this level, you have to be looking for the follow-up. is okay, knight b5, queen b6 or queen c6, and okay, queen b6 doesn't run into this or this, so queen b6. So then what? Because black is just threatening to take, and he's still, I mean, black is still threatening a4. It's no joke. So suddenly there's this double threat, and it's not clear how to defend. So yeah,
it's more
you
like
gotta be looking for the follow.
Yeah, it's more like a bullet move, I would then maybe.
Yeah. And he was in no situation to play a bullet move. He had 8 minutes and 9 seconds. I mean, he could have avoided knight b5. It's a problem with one move threats. I mean, they can really deteriorate your position. Here, he needed that tempo to do something more aggressive. And now he has dropped the knight. He played bishop c4. And you play d5, which is this strong. I mean, he takes d. And what do you think you should do now?
So that means I didn't do it. What? Let me think. First of all, what did I do? Well, I'm sure I took on d5. The question is, did I take with the knight or the pawn? I don't think I even considered taking with the bishop, but maybe I should have taken with the bishop because I can take away his bishop. I'm pretty sure I only considered e takes or knight takes, and the bishop was out of the question. I'm not. There's no way I'm trading off my bishop. I think I just kind of automatically gave it VIP status because it's on that long diagonal. It's on the long diagonal. As for what I played, I'm guessing. I can't remember because I can see values to both taking with the knight and the pawn. If I take with the knight, I have a discovery against the queen. And if I take with the pawn, well, I can continue to push the pawn in some cases, and I'm attacking the bishop. My guess is I actually took with the knight.
You took with the pawn.
I did? Okay.
Yeah. Which also kind of begs for follow-up. Otherwise, you're giving d4 for his pieces, and he might just block your pawn, as it happened in the game. I mean, bishop takes d5 is interesting because it's so forcing. I mean, you're just threatening bishop takes c4, and these pieces are kind of hanging.
Oh, and I guess it's also a discovery.
Yeah, there are discoveries kind of everywhere. So this is pretty much forced. I mean, rook takes, knight b to d4, and e5. It looks like this can't really be avoided. Though surprisingly, he still has g5. And so he's not losing, not completely. He has b takes, and you can't take because the rook is hanging. So, I don't know, more or less he's fighting, but it's clearly your game to lose. This looks excellent. I don't even think he can take at this point. I'm not sure. Bishop takes. Everything and play rook a8. Yeah, it looks promising for you. I don't know if you're completely winning, but it looks fine. Taking with the knight also makes a lot of sense. Taking with the pawn shouldn't be bad, but again, there's a positional risk attached. If he puts a knight on d4, then he might jump into f5 as it happened. And I don't know, that had to be accounted for. You played bishop a6, maybe even sacrificing the pawn might be a thing here. Well, it's not so much a sacrifice. You threaten the pawn on f3 also. But you played bishop a6, and now the problem is, well, you probably missed this. Is that right?
Well, I certainly missed it, but it was actually later that I missed it when he could play queen. I missed queen g5. It's in a couple moves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Knight takes, pawn takes. Notice that he basically solved the problem of his king. That king is not in danger anymore, and I mean, your pawn pushes are not getting anywhere. It takes time, and he can always keep the queen side closed. Even if you get to play, I don't know, a3, he plays b3. Well, for now, you have to deal with this also. So white was really let off the hook within these last, 4 or 5 moves. So bishop c5. He went for knight f5 anyways, and yeah, he's more or less fine, I think, here.
He didn't want the queen trade. So.
Yeah. I mean, this becomes hard. I mean, you had to play a weird move like 97 just to get the queen.
Yeah.
To the defense,
Well,
but it's.
Yeah, well, the problem is I didn't even see queen g5. I might have found knight d7 if I had seen queen g5.
Yeah, for sure, because it's, well, more or less your only chance to defend. But it's uncomfortable already, of course. He's got the upper hand clearly. And, well, after this, you're just losing.
Yeah.
Because he has all the pieces around your king. 97. Queen h6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and checkmate a few moves. But yeah, I feel like you had really great chances. I mean, your opponent kind of meets both systems, and he lost a lot of time. So I think you start to go astray more or less around here when you play rook d8, which doesn't have a clear purpose other than being a rook move towards the center. In the Sicilian, you have to be really careful about what you're going to do with the rooks, because you have to be certain they're going to be worth for something. Sometimes they're even better on the squares they are currently. For example, the rook might be useful in the defense of the f7 square. That's why deciding on the squares you're going to put the rooks on, it's quite important. For example, in view of a future d5, sometimes you play rook e8, so that when the e file opens up, you have tactics there. So it's not just about putting it anywhere. And on d8, well, it's not urgent. You're trying to make your counterplay on the queen side. Get there first, actually. You're trying to get your attack going before white does, as usual in the Sicilian. But it was a very interesting game, because I think this pattern will be useful for you. b4 and bishop d7. That's going to happen in a lot of your games. I mean, if you play the knight off, you'll probably get positions similar to this one. And I think here it works perfectly, because, well, the bishop on b3 is a nice target to start attacking with a5 and a4. Sometimes you don't need to play bishop d7, because before there's no knight a4 with the knight on c5. But sometimes your knight isn't on c5, so you want to give the chance to harass the knight on a4 if he goes there. So that's why bishop d7 is sometimes it's sometimes good to keep it in store. Okay, we finally have this one. It's not here. I thought I hit. Okay. It's also Sicilian, but you're on the white side of this Sicilian. E4, c5 against Marshall.
I know it would have been great if we actually played a Marshall. That would have been nice. And if he played the knight f6 Marshall, the actual Marshall, the original, which is actually the original is actually still a really tricky line. Like you have to know it. I mean, everyone plays what is it, C6 now, but no, the original is
Yeah.
really sharp.
Yeah, the Marshall is crazy, and it's giving me some problems really. Knight b3, bishop b6, well, f3. Well, you do play the the English attack as you should. uh, you both castle, knight b7, more or less normal up to here. G4, b5. Were you still in prep here? Because I
Oh,
know you.
I know, like 35 moves. Yeah, this is.
Yeah. Knight e2 and
Yeah.
knight h5. Now
Yeah.
this is interesting.
Yeah, this is all yeah. To me, this is like the beginning of the Tabia. Yeah. Well,
Is h4 the move here?
so this is so knight h5 is newer, kind of more popular in the past maybe 10 years from engines of so at least sometimes I get mixed up myself upside down. Yeah, I mean knight e8 is the main line.
Yeah, yeah.
98 f4, I believe. But this is, I think the engine actually prefers knight h5 by a hair if you run it super deep and super long. So I'm used to seeing this. In fact, I almost considered. I'm still actually considering playing this myself as black, because in the knight e8 line, if white wants that, the lines super deep with theory kind of lead to a draw with the knight e8 line if white wants. So knight h5 is actually black's best chance to try to shoot for a win, with perfect play, of course. So what you said? Oh no, but I hate this game. Do you know how many times I've made the same mistake, Alessandro? This knight g3, knight g3, knight g3, knight g3 is the move. Oh, thanks for the follow. Yeah. I've made this mistake like 9 out of 10 times. I get this position, and actually after the game, I noticed that my opponent was actually streaming the game on Twitch. And I saw his commentary, which was frustrating to watch because he was extremely confident about all of his moves. He kept saying things like that he was so sure, and he's like, "Oh, this is completely winning," blah blah blah. And he was wrong in most of the cases. So it was very frustrating to watch. But yeah, this knight g3, for some reason I forget it like 9 out of 10 times, and then as soon as I play h4, I always remember, and then
because now you can't get rid of the knight. I mean, no way. I mean, blocked the king side, and now it's his turn to attack. Yeah, with knight g3, it's a different story.
It's frustrating because, as I say,
he's gotta play knight f4, I guess.
Yeah, and then even here, I actually don't know this particular line that well because I always forget knight g3. So then I just end it there. Because knight h5 I know is theoretically actually very good, but knight e8 is still the more common move from my opponent. So I know that line much, much better than knight h5.
Well, the results have not been great, and there are many strong grandmaster gains from here. There's a Dominguez Bachier, Sutovsky Sadvakasov, Topalov the Firmian. Yeah, this hasn't gone well for for black. I don't know what the analysis say, but black is kind of all in. I mean, what is he gonna do here? A4. Well, black plays more or less what you did in the game, but knight c1 has been played, but also knight d4 is interesting. How about that one?
It doesn't surprise me too much because that's actually in the main line with knight e8.
Oh, it happens.
Yeah.
This is looking good. I mean, I'll definitely take white.
Yeah, as I
So
say,
after,
I still play the 98 line as black myself
okay.
because well, I don't know. I'm just more used to it, I guess. And I also don't mind
And he play,
that it's
yeah,
so-called theoretically it can turn into a draw because White has to play perfect for like another 30
yeah. I
moves.
mean, it's not a draw. It's not a draw. It's you see, it's not a draw even for top grandmasters because they keep winning and losing games. This is just too complex to call it a draw. I mean, the fact that the computer says it's equal means
No, but it
probably
actually
nothing.
it literally goes to a forced draw though. It's literally a perpetual that black can get, and deviating from that is like plus 1.5 or something for white. Um, in certain lines. So
Yeah, in certain lines,
yeah.
because you see, I just put 98 in.
Hmm.
There's Nepomniachtchi Firuza with white winning, Caruana Gelfand with black winning, Svidler Morosevich with white winning, Karyakin Anand with black winning twice. And so you see, it's still very much a game. I don't know if yeah, force might be a draw might be forced, and there might be some improvements in store. Well, you see how it goes. Then at some point, Bachir comes and plays a new move, and it's a mess again.
Yeah, so what I ended
But
up the logic I ended up using was I figured, well, if I start getting a draw every game, then I can consider playing knight h5. But until then, I can knight e8 is fine.
yeah, I mean, your opponents are playing on their own at this point already, and it's really hard to even figure out that's going on here, even if it is a theoretical position, because it becomes a mess within a move or two, and it's so easy to miss. Um, yeah, this Sicilian is just completely crazy. It's easy to, I mean, you can know theory very deep, and then you find a different move at some point, and it's still complicated to
Hmm.
to refute it over the board. Um, you played h4. Well, now
Yeah.
he gets a free hand on the queen side. There are still some interesting moments in this game, though. A4, you go back, and he plays b3, which is fine. I mean, he should be opening lines. And here, what do you think his plan should be, in a sense?
Um, I remember watching his post analysis, and he was just trash talking my position. I remember when I got the double pawns, he's like, "Oh, this is terrible for white. This is absolutely garbage." But I know from experience, it's not so simple. And actually, it's not so simple to attack those double pawns. White can often be quite safe, surprisingly. So as for what his plan should be, I don't know if taking the knight is necessarily bad, but black should not be so confident in that it's how weak my king is, because as I say, it can be deceiving. Um, Maybe he should bring in the knight that's on d7 into the fray. Um, I'm not sure if knight c5 or I'm just taking a quick consideration of knight b6 d5. I mean, these are all kind of typical Sicilian ideas, but bringing in the pieces closer to the king side, basically unraveling those three minor pieces that are kind of clustered on on d7, e7, and e6.
Nice. I like knight b6. There are so many jumps. D5 might be possible at some point. Um, Well, by the way, bishop takes b3 is terrible. It's just a terrible move. I mean, positionally, it makes absolutely no sense. His bishop is awesome. Your knight is a tactical weakness, sort of. I mean, it's not a great piece, really. Uh, it's he just might fall victim of tactics. I don't even know if he can't play rook takes h2. Maybe he can. Uh, looks like he actually can. King takes, queen a8. The only
Can I
move
go?
is king b1, and bishop takes b3. I think you're recovering this at least, because otherwise, yeah, he's gonna recover the
Yeah.
rook. You're getting checkmated otherwise.
No, this looks
Um,
terrible. Just regardless.
yeah, he had some things going on, but giving up that bishop for your this knight is
Yeah.
doing nothing. It's
No,
like a
it's funny if you watch the stream. He's so happy. He says that White's king is so weak. This is just completely losing for White. He was so confident about that. And I can understand it though. If you see this for the first time, it might seem like that. But I've had a lot of these positions where I know in some cases that's actually perfectly fine for White.
yeah. I mean, he's given up a very important attacking piece for a knight that it had nowhere to go to. It was just waiting for some tactics uh, to compromise it completely. And now queen b8. And you own the light squares. You see how important color complexes are. We talk about this a lot, but after exchanging that bishop, incidentally, his good bishop, this one is just terrible. He lost control of light squares completely. I mean, they're yours. And there's nothing to do about it. I mean, knight c3 is coming. If it doesn't go for some exchange like this, you're even going to play bishop c4, and this is getting out of hand. Your king is safe now. And he played knight b6. What do you think you played? I don't know if you remember.
What did I play? I seem to recall. So I think I might have played queen b5 because I think I ended up trading on b6. So yeah, I think I played queen b5.
Well, that's what you should have played.
Oh,
Queen b5 is very good. Yeah, it keeps his queen passive. I mean, this is a good moment to think about exchanges. I mean, you love to
yeah.
exchange the queens, definitely. Not only because your king will be completely safe after it. Your king is safe as of now, but if you trade queens, well, it's just easy. But also because the endgames really favor you. I mean, this hole is gonna really,
Well, yeah, and I'm up
it's
a
really gonna
pawn.
hurt black. Yeah, you're up a pound. Even if you weren't, I mean,
Outside pass
you're
pawn.
just putting something.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just too good, and his pieces are horrendous. Especially this bishop is going
Then
to
I
be
must have played queen
laughable.
d2.
It was weird. I mean, you did exchange, but you did it right
Oh,
now.
right. Oh, yeah. Um,
It's a similar mistake to your opponents. That knight was terrible, had nowhere to go to. It was just a target, and you got rid of an excellent bishop that was covering
yeah.
f4. Uh,
Yeah.
and his queen is back into the game somehow. I mean, he can threaten stuff.
It
And
was
now it's even hard.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
only there's only one word I can respond to that is impatient because um I I think it was just purely an impatient move. Probably my plan here was then to follow up with knight c3 and then queen b5 to trade it off that way. But there are some downsides to that, such as maybe I don't know if queen e3 is a problem. Probably not. Well, maybe queen e3 is annoying.
Yeah, it's more or less annoying. And this knight is bringing back to life, which it should. I mean, you should be able to play knight c3, and if knight f4, just take and put a knight on d5. That would be ideal. Uh, but now the knight can come back to the game as soon as you move your own knight, which I mean, it happened. Now he gets to play knight f4, and you don't have the bishop to just get rid of it. And well, this is exactly what happened. Now it's a different game. He's very active. His bishop is still terrible, but he has gotta play this time. And 95, you changed. Even if you lose this pawn, even after this, you're doing fine. I mean, your bishop is way better than his. And you have a beautiful opportunity. He plays queen h5, rook df1. The difference is huge. I mean, with opposite colored bishops, the one who's attacking has the advantage. That's how the rule goes. He played the rook a7, well, because you were threatening stuff like rook takes f7, and he will never be able to take with the rook because of queen takes a8.
I remember I just blundered the bishop at the end of this game.
Yeah, and now you have a beautiful win. I mean, it's a great move. Hard to spot, really. I mean, I'll never criticize you for not finding this one.
Okay, well, the first
With-
move that comes to mind, because there are some woodpecker positions from some famous games. I wish I could remember the actual famous games they're from. But taking on f7 here with the rook, so rook takes f7 seems very. It seems like the most logical move to start with. If rook, I'm assuming the first move we should look at is rook f7. Rook takes f7. So rook takes f7. Rook takes f7, and then if I go rook f1, and let's say bishop d8.
Maybe bishop f8 keeps this is defended, so maybe that. But yeah, still the same problem. Still same problem that f7 is defended enough times. I don't know. Rook takes f1.
I'm wondering now. I'm just taking a quick look at g6. No, oh wait. Oh yeah. So g6, queen takes g6. Let's say rook hg1. That doesn't. Oh, but then I've got rook. Okay, so after rook hg1, if queen h6, I have rook f. What do I have? Rook f5.
Queen h5, rook f5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
that seems to work. Yeah. This just sits, which cuts the queen off.
Yeah.
And if queen takes, yeah, this might work. Looks like it does, but you also have h5 at once.
It's simpler.
Yeah, and he can't keep in touch with with this pawn. It's remarkable, really. And I don't think he can even defend with queen e6.
At the very least, I can trade queens, and that's that might maybe that's not so great because my b pawns are quite weak there. But okay, yeah. So if queen e6, I'm wondering about rook f7. So queen e6, rook takes f7, and what's wrong with that? That seems pretty good.
Rook takes f7.
Yeah, then queen takes.
Yeah, queen takes e5.
Well, queen takes e6.
Oh, I mean, queen e6.
Yeah.
Rook takes f7.
Yeah.
Queen takes d5.
Oh, queen takes d5.
Yeah.
Well, we win a pawn, right? So
yeah, and it seems pretty good because your bishop lands here and you start pushing the big pawn. It looks as though it should just be close to winning. Trying to figure out if
although
there's nothing.
I could have done the same thing. I guess I could have just gone. I could also just go queen takes e6, f takes e6, and then bishop e6 check, king h8.
Yeah, it's more or less the same.
Yeah.
But the bishop ends on e6 instead of d5. That's
Might not be as good.
That's the only catch. Yeah.
Although it does cover c8 though, which might be
it makes
useful.
some sense.
Yeah. It's a pawn. I'll take a pawn.
Get,
Although I give up a pawn though. I give up the g pawn though.
I'm even wondering about queen e6 and just not trading queens and keeping them on, but I'm not sure really. I mean, you do have an attack, that's clear, but
let's see. I'm just curious. I've got a couple people in the
I thought
I've got a couple.
I thought it was easier.
I've got a couple people in the chat. Somebody wrote queen e6, rook. Wait, what? I think he meant rook takes f7, queen takes f7, queen takes f7, rook takes f7.
Oh, queen takes f7, we just get the queen out of there, and we have a pin, so we're gonna win the queen on the next move. That's why I think he should take on d5 and we'll get rid of the queens. And we also have the intermediate move, rook takes f8. Otherwise, we will be losing the rook. Well, this looks pretty promising for white. I have to say, this b pawn can easily be pushed. I don't know if black can't defend this. He probably can, but I feel like we're missing something at some point. Yeah, I'm gonna... e6. Yeah, I'm asking the engine, and yeah, your line is bad. King takes and bishop takes, the no-nonsense approach. Rook takes, b takes, and what was I missing here? Oh, bishop d5 now. Oh, there is a difference. The king is on the corner. And it's a pretty big difference. I mean, you don't get to the center easily. So now rook c1, b4, b5. King is never getting back. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
What's the eval?
Oh, let me check. It's like 3.2. Yeah, it's
okay.
It's really, really winning.
Yeah, his bishop is.
But yeah, it's a nice difference. I mean, if you take a look at this position, the king is much closer to the center. That makes a lot of sense.
What about the
position, but with...
What about before g6? What's the eval there?
Let me check. Oh yeah, it says g6. Yeah, it's 3.1. Yeah, it's
and without
that.
But without
winning.
No, but before g6.
Oh, right before g6. well, it's suggesting G6 winning, and here it's a clear advantage to you. Apparently, he has to
Well,
let go of the pawn on
well,
f7.
I mean, if we don't play G6, what's the next best eval? If I
Oh, I
don't.
don't know. I think that's in one only. Yeah.
Oh, one
Let
line.
me see. I
Okay.
don't know. Rook f2. Oh no, I'm missing bishop takes.
I think
Just as in the game.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no, I played the move from the game.
yeah, yeah.
I played the move from the game.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really hard to play a move. It's hard to play a move that's not
Oh, okay.
G6 because if you move either of these two rooks, you lose a pawn.
But let's
So you
say
have to find G6.
oh yeah, I see
A
what you're
move that
saying.
doesn't hang anything. Yeah, it's still. I mean, it makes sense. It's still a good advantage. It drops dramatically, but it's still better for you. Apparently now he has the time to play this and f6, and that kind of equalizes more or less. But it's still slightly better for you because you have the better bishop. But it was the one. Now you drop the pawn with this trick. And now there's not much more h6. Oh, you played bishop e2. That was weird.
Sorry, what? Bishop.
Yeah, now you play bishop e2.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, clearly with the idea of yeah.
Oh, no, I think I thought it was I think I played that. I just thought my
Because of the attack.
no, I don't even know. I don't even think that was my idea. I think I thought my bishop was just protected by my queen. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I thought like my bishop was lined up with the queen on, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just because I think
It's
I
a weird
played.
situation because it's the double pin is
Yeah,
really strange. I mean, none of you can move. I guess his plan is to play G6 and untangle finally. I don't know. But yeah, the chance is gone. And after this, unfortunately, he gets your king first because he's playing queen a2 or a1 check, rook to c8. He just got in the first punch, unfortunately. Queen e2, yeah, he plays well here, and there's not much to do. Yeah. So yeah, in this one, well, so h4 is a mistake you've made before. I wasn't sure. I thought it was just well, it's kind of an automatic reaction, but it freezes down your your king side, and then black gets a free hand.
No, yeah, no, that h4 is so frustrating though, because I make that mistake so often, you know. But eventually there comes a point where you make the same opening mistake like that so many times that then eventually you're so paranoid about it that you stop making it, and you never make that mistake again, right? There's that line that you have to cross.
Yeah. Has to happen sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the reason I forget it is because you know, there's a million different variations that are so subtly different, and rarely is knight g3 one of those moves. This is like the only line where that's the best move. So I kind of a little bit on autopilot there. I got to turn off that autopilot button with the h4. But even after that, I was still okay. I think one of the mistakes was, I mean, there were a few, but one of them that you pointed out that is pretty obvious to me is when I took on b5, I think it was, or b6, bishop takes.
Yeah. You took it. Yeah, you gave out that bishop, which was really important. For a knight, that was really bad because the knight on b6
it was dominated.
Restricted.
The b3 pawn dominated it. Yeah,
and it had some other consequences. I mean, his queen got back to life. It started threatening stuff. All of a sudden, queen e3, maybe queen a7, things that weren't possible a move ago. um, and the knight got f4 as a serious option because you had the knight on e2 and you had to move it. And once you moved it to c3, he already had knight f4. And you didn't have a bishop on e3 anymore to just take it. So yeah, you even got your chances after the position mistake of h4, because your opponent played that weird bishop takes b3 that was just the biggest positional mistake in this game, probably. um, um, and yeah, from there on, it was just a matter of seeking its changes and occupying d5. But you, well, you didn't manage to fulfill the plan because I don't know how where were you of the fact that you had to trade queens and then put a knight on d5. Yeah, you probably were, but you didn't follow it
Execute it.
up with
Yeah.
with enough energy.
I no, I would have been happy to have traded queens because even just for the fact that I was up a pawn and he had a bad dark squared bishop, I was happy to trade to enter an endgame. I just went about it. I was misguided. Well, my heart was in the right place, but I kind of went about it the wrong way. I kind of assumed that I could then follow up with a trade on with queen b5. I just kind of lost the thread a little bit. Yeah.
Well, for the looks of it, in this game you have, I mean, following your train of reasoning, you have more of an execution problem than anything.
There's my dog. Yeah.
Another guest.
Yeah.
Um,
Trying to get me to go to bed.
But yeah, I mean, I think these games had that in common. I mean, at some point there were flaws with the plan. This one is a bit different from what I've heard. But yeah, in the other two, you got sidetracked by some weird ideas that didn't actually respond to what was happening in the position. Sometimes it looks like you're asking too much of the position. That might be one of the problems. I mean, you engage in some overtly ambitious plans, as it happened in the first game, or then sometimes in just autopilot moves because you don't have a clearly defined plan, or maybe you are more or less aware of what you have to do, but not exactly how you want to do it. So you start making some lazy moves, as you call them. But yeah, all these problems have to do with planning, and what you can do is try to force yourself to to ask at every point what your goal is, your short-term goal at least, and try to make your moves point to that goal. For example, rook d8 was kind of way too general in last game. I mean, you play rook d8 because it overprotects these seats, but we need more.
Yeah, I'm getting a little sloppy, a little lazy, lackadaisical with the moves. I wonder if part of it is psychological because I've dropped so much rating, and then I'm playing much lower rated players than usual, and I'm like, this will work.
Could be, could.
Which is the problem, It's like this is good
But
enough,
The problem is not even those moves. I mean, if you isolate them, they are not that terrible, but in and of themselves, they are not terrible. But the problem is that the whole concept is wrong, so it's very likely that you're going to follow up with a bigger mistake because you already don't have a clear notion of what you're doing. And that's the problem. I mean, it's really easy to follow it up with some bad mistake. just because you don't have a grasp of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, my mindset isn't really there.
Yeah, exactly. But well, other than that, don't really worry that much about. I know it's easier said than done, but sometimes you need to cool it off. Don't play, not play as many games during the same day, and then come back stronger the next day. On the next day, I mean, these bad streaks happen. They will happen from time to time, but don't take your sight away from the fact that you've been playing on a high level for a lot of time, and this is just a stretch of games that haven't gone your way, even though you even had winning positions along the way. I mean, I wouldn't worry that much. It's not the end of the world, and well, on the internet you can regain the rating fast. That's that's something that's positive. So it will pass. This will also pass. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean it sucks, but part of it is really just being in awe or in astonishment of just how crazy the 18 games no win is just crazy. I mean, and I'm trying, like I'm trying in the games. I'm focused, and I'm not really tired like when I'm playing, and I also don't really think I'm playing tilted. Like I feel like I'm in a good spirit when I'm playing, but it's just inevitably, it just happens to be a loss. I know it'll end eventually, but it's crazy because then I think, okay, this game it has to end the streak, and then I'll lose again. It's just
I mean, the same happens in tournaments. Sometimes, I mean, you've been training, you feel good, you're healthy, everything is supposed to be fine, and it should go okay, and you can't seem to do anything right, and it happens. It's just how it goes. Sometimes things it's not for you. It happens, it will happen, and it's just part of the game. We have to shake it off and try the next time.
It's that's the love-hate relationship with chess. It takes a lot of perseverance, right? And
today I played 3 games on chess.com, and I lost the 3 of them miserably. They were horrible, and I let it go. I closed everything before I got tempted to
was that Title Tuesday?
No, it was just. But it was also the mistake of playing some games while I was just making time.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's the recipe for disaster.
Great idea.
No, that's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah.
But I can't use it as an excuse if you played terribly, and that's on me. But it happens. What can I say?
Thanks again. I am going to I will book some more lessons. And then perhaps we can get that video working, possibly.
I will look into it because I also want to learn how to use Twitch.
And then you could also see that if you get that working, you can also see the chat, and you can see everything I can see as well. So it's like you're much more integrated into the whole stream.
That would be great. That's something I've been wanting to to work for a long time. That's great. I will look into the camera thing and probably get it sorted out.
Yeah, you can figure it out. I mean, you're not like an 80-year-old grandma. I mean, you can, and I mean, like 10-year-old kids can figure it out. I'm sure you can do it too.
So they're good though.
That's true. Yeah, they're born into it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again. I know it's late there, and I will try to get over this hump I'm in, and get the rating back up. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it's not a repeat next week of, oh no, I'm still losing. I'm 1800 now. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
Tyler.
I'll let you go. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye bye.